get this call from my stepson's girlfriend, and he's being taken into the emergency room. And he had a seizure. They didn't really know what was happening. So, there's a lot of trauma. Law enforcement was involved. We all went to the emergency room. And because he didn't have health insurance, 29 years old, been a bodybuilder, always been healthy, so he was between jobs, and they would do no testing on him whatsoever to find out what was wrong with him. And we were all sitting in that emergency room kind of angry and upset. And he's traumatized. His girlfriend who witnessed the whole thing is just, she's traumatized. So, right after Labor Day weekend, we got him in for testing. Turns out he had a blood clot in his brain and a brain bleed that caused the seizure. And initially it looked like a tumor. And God bless Louise, I reached out to her. And she was right there, like, can you talk later? I mean, there was no hesitation. No matter what she had going on that day, she made time. She reached out. So when I did one with my husband, Kevin, we wrote the goal, which was all about his son being happy, healthy, reclaiming his life, making good choices, healing. But we also put family harmony in there. Because before I met Kevin, he'd gone through a 2.5 very acrimonious divorce. And he and his ex-wife had not talked for probably about 7 years. Once the kids were out of high school and college, they didn't talk to each other. And she has some pretty serious mental health issues and a lot of anger. And he just had that, I don't want to deal with her anymore. I don't have this sweat. This whole situation forced them to be in an emergency room together and have to come together on behalf of their son. So, family harmony. So I asked how many strings. There were 4. The very first string that came up was her when she was 13 or 14 years old. So I turned to Kevin and I just said, hey, what happened to your ex-wife when she was 13 or 14 years old? Kevin's like, oh, her mom had a heart attack. She witnessed her mom having a heart attack, and they resuscitated her, but because she had lost oxygen to her brain for so long, she was just never right. I mean, she became childlike. She had to be in assisted living until she passed. That first string was, I had 2 pages of negative and reclaiming words of trauma to clear out of that field. And as Louise pointed out, some of those things were entities. And we cleared up other things as well as the sale of CDs, because some of that was kind of painful too. But with my stepson, I cleared out all the heartbreaking trauma he had over his parents' divorce. Even though he was 19 at the time, that came up. And he had trauma over that whole seizure. Just being in that emergency room, losing control, not knowing what was happening to his body. And so he got out of the hospital 4 days later. But with my step